Hi everyone, Martin here. Thanks for tuning in for another exciting adventure in the world of guitars. If you've been paying attention over the last few videos, you might have noticed that I've acquired a few new ones, and there is no more space left on the guitar rack, not to mention there's some up on the shelf that you can't see, and there's another load in the loft as well. So I'm going to try and, what I thought the plan would be to do some videos where I've got some guitars to sell, but before I sell them, let's do a video about it and try and show them off, get top dollar, as it were. So what we have here is a Hohner. Yes, Prince's one of Prince's favourite brands. I don't think you ever played one of these. What this is a Hohner JT60 Hollywood Special, no less. Now I'm not sure exactly what the Hollywood connection is. I'm not sure that these were ever portrayed as on film or anything like that as the rock and roll guitar du jour for the Hollywood producers or directors of the time. So it was made in Korea. I don't think it's got anything to do with Hollywood whatsoever. But here we are now. This was at a time where a guy called Alan Entwistle was at Hohner, and he wanted them to make some high quality guitars. I think they were doing lots of accordions and stuff like that, and I think he wanted them to start making some nice quality guitars. And this is nice quality guitar, it is. It's got a few foibles which we'll get to in a minute, but obviously what have you got? This, so I'll move it a bit closer. So you got this Jazz Mastery style offset body, Strat style pickup configuration. On the surface it looks quite straightforward with volume, 2 tones, selector switch, quite a nice bit of rosewood there on the board. There we are. It doesn't say anything about Hollywood on the headstock there, but I quite like that headstock actually. Kind of slightly pointy, but not but not swoopy, I think is probably the thing. Got a trem here. Springs in the back. That looks as though, I don't know if you can see, that trem block is horrible. It's all kind of cracking. It needs to be replaced with something a bit more weighty that isn't going to explode if you play a power chord. And those springs are a bit naff as well. Oh, I hate trems. What's interesting is it's got a micro tilt adjustment at the neck there. You can see that. Which is quite a nice feature. So I think that's kind of evidence that Entwistle was trying to, add some nice features that he thought in theory would make it appealing to the pro. I think the body's coated in plastic poly. It's quite a cool natural relic job, as we call it these days. In the past it used to be just called scratched and dinged and wasn't worth anything, but it actually is. If people want to actually know what natural playware looks like, this is it. But because it's poly, it just chips off rather than wearing out. So it's quite good. I got this from Cash Converters in Newcastle for not much money because it was knackered. It didn't work basically at all. So I've taken it to bits and replaced the jack socket. I think a few bits of soldering needed doing. Now, the elephant in the room, well, if there was an elephant in the room, it would be touch and go whether the elephant or this guitar was heavier. It weighs a ton, 4.3 kilos or 9.5 pounds for our American cousins, or I should probably work in pounds since it's the imperial measurement, but anyway, it's heavy. 9.5 pounds is a lot for a guitar. I'm not sure how they've managed that, to be honest. I don't know what the body's made of. But it's quite weighty. Yeah, so that's the first thing. You don't really want your... Maybe it's because it's just a big body, it's a big slab of wood. But yeah, you don't really want your work guitar to weigh that much. But if you were the kind of player, if you sling it on and play some kind of power chords, you're away. So, the other thing, right, let's just... The other thing to mention is this has what's called the ATN tone circuit in it. Now, what that is, it's like a passive tone shaping thing. Physically, it's like a little black box the size of quite like a large dice stuck in here somewhere. Oh, listen to that. microphonic. In here somewhere there's a black box where all the wires go in. Now, but there's no other controls here, so what you do, you refer to this sheet, where is it? This sheet here, Hohner ATN Hollywood Special, and you see on your left there, Strat Star, so that's how to get the tones that you would normally expect just to get anyway. And you see the top one, if you want the Strat Bridge, you have to turn the two tone controls halfway. Now it doesn't turn the tone down, it kind of turns the pickup on. So basically, if you just sit down and turn everything up full on the bridge thing here, you get this kind of sound. Which you can hear is that sort of in between Strat sound. So you're like, well, I've just turned everything up full, and it just sounds like a middle position of a in between position of a Strat. What am I doing wrong? So what we're doing wrong, sir, is you need to turn the tone control down to like half. I'll show you. Listen. And then the other tone control down to half. Oh! And then you have your bridge single coil all by itself. And then you can switch to the neck and have the same thing. So there we have it. We've managed to find the single coil position, the single coil positions for the bridge and the neck. Which are actually quite nice. Excuse me, in the bridge. The pickups sound warm actually. That bridge pickup doesn't have quite the sort of trebly, sort of treble overload that you might expect from a Strat or a Tele. And the neck is quite warm as well. And you might be saying, well, that's because you just turn the tone controls down, but I don't think, if we turn them back up again, something weird happens. I think that brings in the middle pickup just by turning that tone control. Turn it down a bit to 6. I suppose once you get used to it, it's okay, but it's weird. Turning tone controls to activate pickups. You know, what a crazy genius this Allen Entwistle guy is. So that's now the bridge and middle, and then, that was the neck and middle, and if you want the bridge and middle. That's a nice sound, that. And then obviously just for the bridge by itself. So there we are. All that just to get some simple tones. So we've got Strat neck and centre. I think we've just done that. Strat bridge and centre, by turning that one up. Strat centre by itself. Switch in the switch in the middle position. Strat neck and bridge. All right, so switch in the middle. These two on half. So switching. So you've got, if you want, that's just bridge. Just neck, and in the middle, that's bridge and neck, which is actually quite nice. So you can see there are some cool sounds in the guitar, so you need your handy little Hollywood directions sheet to make the most of them until you get used to it. So the general rule of thumb seems to be, for some reason you turn this tone down half all the time for the normal Strat sounds, and this is the activates the middle pickup on, not the tone here. Middle pickup on, middle pickup off. Yeah. Middle pickup off, middle pickup on. So yeah, once you get used to it, it kind of doesn't really make sense. It's just that you've learned how to do it. Now, the other side of this sheet, we'll go through this. This is where it just goes a bit wrong. What does it say on here? Look, I'll try and read it at the same time. Telecaster style sound, Les Paul style sound. Let's get this in focus. I'll put the guitar down. Let's just go through this. You can download this sheet online, of course. What have we got? Les Paul style sound, Gretsch style sound, Rickenbacker style, jazz semi-acoustic, acoustic style sound, laid back P90 style sound. Right, so you might think, oh well, you know, the whole point of having a weird switch configuration is that you can have some cool sounds as well as your normal standard ones. So let's go for Telecaster style sound. That compares with just the pickup on its own. Woo. Doesn't usually do that. So Telecaster style sound just sounds weaker and less trebly, so that's pointless. Les Paul style sound, middle tone all the way off. Sell your 59 bursts, everybody. The Hohner JT60 Hollywood is coming at you. Yeah, it's definitely the sound that Slash used on Appetite for Destruction. Let's try. let's try the next. Les Paul neck pickup style sound. Oh yeah. It's pure sweet child of mine. Now, I don't know if it's just me. Does anyone else think that's just the sound of a single coil pickup with the tone control turned off? Which is kind of what it kind of is. Yeah, so that is rubbish. So this is supposed to be Gretsch style. That is slightly useful, maybe. Not convinced that that's any more useful than the pickup by itself. And because it's a passive tone shaping thing, all it can do is remove frequency, so you're always getting this volume drop as well every time you're using this ATN thing, which again just weakens the tone. So that you're on the back foot before you even started with this kind of system. If you want tone shaping in the guitar, I mean, I don't know who anyone wants that beyond just simple tone control, but if you do, you really have to bite the bullet and go active, I would have thought. Jazz semi-acoustic, well, that's just going to be pointless. Acoustic style sound, oh yeah, acoustic style sound. My acoustic sound like that, I would burn it. And this is laid back P90 style sound bridge. Let's just introduce that middle pickup again, I think. Awful, 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 pointless. Alan Entwistle, pointless. Absolutely rubbish. So you've crippled the controls of what was otherwise being quite a nice guitar for this absolutely useless passive tone shaping thing, right? Now, why? Well, that's nice. I was using it with some delay before. so it's, the one saving grace is once you get used to twiddling this middle tone knob to bring in that middle pickup, that is kind of handy, actually. And then take the middle pickup out. And then you just have them bridge and neck together. Okay, so I think that sounds cool. I honestly do. I think that sounds really nice. Sort of like so the whole thing boils down to like it's a Strat in an offset body with some interesting switching. Once you get used to it, you can't just get the bridge pickup, just turn everything on full and the bridge pickup just doesn't work like that. You get that in between sound. So you have to do this. Once you're aware of that, then if you hand it to someone, they don't know it, they'll make it sound rubbish. They won't get what they want. Very confusing. So it's a bit of a party. That's a bit of a party trick with a weird switching. The rest of the ATN stuff is nonsense. You can't get P90 or humbucking sounds from a pair of single coil pickups just by having a passive tone control. It just doesn't work like that. The interesting thing is, Alan Entwistle is, no slight against him. He's obviously thinking kind of outside the box about what to do. That's totally cool with me. He's still doing it. This is a copy of this month's Guitar and Bass, which is a brilliant magazine. I'll bring this closer in. Does this look familiar at all? This is a Revelation RTJ60. Not that far away from a JT60, which is what this one is. So, what's this going to be? 20 years down the line, you've got a trem, you've got an offset body, you've got taut pick guard, you've got like creamy coloured pickups. And what's this thing he's got up in the corner? Passive tone control. Oh no. Oh dear. He's still doing it. He's still doing the passive tone control thing. Which, just makes him cool. I mean, that's a cool guitar. £289. That looks wicked. You know, as I keep on saying, there's so much good stuff out there. You know, for the rich people who want to spend £2,000 or £3,000 on the guitar, I might do that one day, and I'm looking forward to that day. But in the meantime, I'm quite happy to spend. Well, what is this? Not very much. 100 quid, something like that. It was filthy, caked in someone else's slime, and it didn't work. But having said that, it's now clean, restrung, and it does work. So, and it sounds nice. For some reason, I really like it with delay. Really, really nice. So I'm playing it sat down. I'm starting to lose the circulation to my leg a little bit from the weight. If you had a big fat strap, you probably wouldn't notice it so much. If you know, maybe a bigger chap or something, you want something that's really... If you want something that is a chunky old guitar, I think it would work really well for, whatever you call indie or whatever. Anyone wants just a little bit of a sort of chuggy guitar, it'll do octaves. Oh, I'll put some distortion on there. There you go, you see. So, here we are, a flawed thing, definitely flawed, but it has some lovely tones inside. Just forget about the ATM, learn what this little knob does with that middle pickup, and I think you're away, really. So I do want to thin my head down. I'm not going to be playing this all that much, so basically I want to get 150 quid for it, which is or I could make it really dirty and break it and then you could have it for 100. You know, whichever works for you. But yeah, so 150 quid I think is fair for this. You know, I think you kind of want to, you never see, the thing is you never see these. I've never seen another one, certainly never seen a band playing one or anything like that. I don't think I've seen another one for sale really, you might get them on eBay or whatever. Although if you get them on eBay, you probably have to have about 100 quid to have it shipped because it's so heavy. So if you did want something that was, I'm starting to use this phrase semi-vintage, right? Because, what's this, early 90s maybe? So you're probably looking at, I don't know, 25 years old, possibly, something like that. Which, you know, that's pretty rare. It's not like, oh, I'll just go down and buy myself an offset telly and I'm sorted for my indie band. This is it's like an offset Strat, I suppose you could call it. And you're never going to see anyone with another one. And it's already pre-dinged, so, you know, I'm quite happy if you like, if anyone wants to buy it, I'll get my keys out and knock a few more holes in the finish, but you're probably better off doing that yourself. The bits that matter, the frets, are, well, yeah, there are some dimples in the frets, but I've seen worse. You know, for a guitar of this age, it doesn't cause any, it plays fine, basically. Nice bit of rosewood on the neck. The electronics all do work now. So yeah, where was I going with that? Something a little bit different. It's not easy to find. If looks are important to the extent where you just don't want to look like everyone else, basically. You know, you haven't got a massive long beard and loads of tattoos. You want a guitar that isn't a telly or a Fender. You know, have a Hohner. That's what I'd say. If it's good enough for Prince. By the way, I really want one of those Prince tellies, the sort of leopard skin ones. Right, I think that's it. All I want to say about this. If you got any questions or anything, put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. We'll just play it out a little bit, I think, with some music. Yeah. Thank you.